Welcome back to another episode of Living in Denver. As always, my name is Adam, and you guys are not going to want to miss today's episode, where I'll be sharing with you 3 of the best reasons why Denver continues to be an incredible place to call home. But before I get started, as always, the info that's showing up down below, that phone number, that email address, feel free to reach out. I'd love to connect with you guys, and I'm not just saying that. I really do want to connect. I've had a lot of great recent conversations with viewers just like yourselves, and I'm hoping that you're going to be the next. So all that info down below, feel free to reach out. And until then, please enjoy this video. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Like I said a second ago, this video is all about 3 of the biggest reasons why Denver is an awesome place to consider living in 2025. Sounds crazy just to say that number, but here we are. And in this video, I'm gonna go over some stuff that you may or may not have seen on other YouTube videos, and some stuff that I think is very important to consider if Denver is on your short list of places to possibly move to. Going right into number 1, the first thing I want to talk about is something that is the reason why I still live here. It's going to be just the amazing outdoor recreational opportunities that we have here in Denver, as well as all of Colorado, but also specifically on this topic, how Denver is really being proactive on continuing to always improve the city for anybody out there that's wanting to be more active and just enjoy Mother Nature and the outdoors, and why we have such a great place to call home here in Denver. A lot of people talk about how Colorado has 300 days of sunshine a year, and yeah, that is fairly accurate. We are probably right around that number, but what I think was more important to consider is how you have so many opportunities right out your back door. And there are parts of town in Denver that are better than others, in my opinion, when it comes to the ease and the accessibility of some of these awesome hobbies that you can pick up living here in Denver. For me personally, I love getting up to the mountains. So while Denver itself does have a lot of great trails and parks, all that good stuff, which I'll talk about in a second, I just wanted to start off by just reminding you guys that one thing that I think sets Denver apart from other areas is just how it is so easy to get up to the mountains. There is more traffic, certain times of day and certain times of the year where you might have to, deal with a little bit of a parking lot on I-70, which is our east-west highway that takes you to and from the mountains. But, for the most part, especially once you get here and you get a little bit more familiar with when the best times are to travel, you're just so close to so much when it comes to, skiing, mountain biking, hiking, backpacking, water skiing. I can go on and on and on. There's just so many different activities that you can pick up if you live out here in Denver. And that's just something that always keeps life so interesting, and just always something new to try, and just a new challenge to hopefully, keep life interesting and exciting for you. Myself, I love skiing. So, being within an hour to an hour and a half of some of the best, most world-class skiing in the entire nation just always is one of the reasons why Denver is a place I'll never live anywhere else. I'll never leave permanently from the Denver metro area, because it is so easy to get to and from the mountains for that. But, hiking, mountain biking, all that good stuff. If you guys have specific hobbies that you really like and you're just more curious about some tips on those hobbies, those activities, feel free to reach out. I'll put my number down below, and I'll share some of my favorite spots that I like to go to. When I'm talking about, though, that ease of access to the mountains, one example of this would be Mount Evans, which is actually a 14,000-foot peak. We have over 50 14,000-foot peaks. We actually have 58 of them here in Colorado. And Mount Evans is an example where you have a scenic byway where literally within an hour drive from most places in Denver, you could be up on the top of this 14,000-foot peak, looking out with incredible views. And again, only an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on where you are, but very close to the Denver area. That's just one little example of what I'm talking about. But going more specifically to Denver actually has a very robust park system as well. There's actually 22 parks and over 24, the last time I checked, conservation areas within Denver. And these are just specific parks and areas in Denver that are professionally maintained by the city and just provide you with some awesome places to walk your dog, get your exercise in, whatever it is that you are most passionate about. A couple examples, though, of this would be Red Rocks Park and also Lookout Mountain Park. Lookout Mountain Park is super cool, especially if you live on the western side of town near Golden. One thing that I think is very unique about Lookout Mountain is you'll oftentimes in the summer and also in the spring see a ton of paragliders, kind of like a hang gliding type scenario, but a little bit different. But you'll actually see them all the time right off of Lookout Mountain, and that has to do just with the way that the mountain sits with the rest of the city next to it, with these thermals that are just always pushing up this air and making it just the perfect environment for paragliding. So just an example of how unique and cool some of these parks are. I used to have my family used to live in Golden, so we could, access some of these parks literally within like a 10-minute drive. Lookout Mountain also is actually really popular for cyclists. It's a very steep in a very short period of time. So within like a couple miles, you have a very serious elevation gain. So if you want to get a serious workout in and not, have to travel very far and, go from the first, couple pedals on your bike, having it be pretty intense, Lookout Mountain's always going to be one of the best spots for that in all of Denver. But before I move on, just again, reiterating the fact that every single month of the year, every season just has all these different activities that you can pick up and start to do if you move out here to Denver. So just a lot of opportunity, a lot of choices when it comes to outdoor recreation. And I think that's just so unique about Denver. And again, it's one of the reasons why I just am always going to choose this as my home. And one last thing, talking about how Denver's always trying to improve and expand on their trails and their parks and all that good stuff. One thing that I actually learned recently, just when I was doing some homework and some research for one of these YouTube videos for you guys, I learned actually about a new Denver orbital trail system. I'll put the link in this video, but it's this 177-mile circuit that connects all these different parks. It is just a really cool new feature that Denver just recently put out for the public to enjoy. It actually spans through 4 different counties, and it's just connecting all these different parks and trail systems, just making it this continuous 177-mile circuit. Really cool. And again, if you guys want any specific info on that orbital trail system that's just recently coming to my knowledge, I didn't even know about it until I started preparing this video for you guys. But if you guys want any other advice just on other trails, parks, all my favorite personal spots, I really want you guys to check out. I have this brand new, it's a relocation guide, but even if you already do live in Denver or you're already pretty familiar with the area, I still recommend you guys check this out because I have a ton of my favorite restaurants, bars, parks, a lot of great neighborhoods to check out. There's literally all kinds of stuff in here. I just think it's definitely something that's worth downloading. It's completely free. So the link for it is down below in the show notes. Get yourself a free copy. And if you have any questions afterwards, please reach out. All right, so jumping right into number 2, another reason why Denver is just an incredible place to consider living here going into 2025 is a very thriving job market. So if you guys are at a point in your life where you're still needing to be employed and you're considering different cities to live in that are going to provide you with a lot of opportunity, Denver continues to be very high in the rankings across the nation for this specific topic. Not only do you get to enjoy this good quality of life with all of the outdoor activities, but you also get to really enjoy having a higher than average income and just benefit from the continuing expansion of tech and a lot of other type of industries that are putting a lot of their dollars and just really promoting job growth here in the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. Now I mentioned tech, but there's actually a lot of other industries that are really prevalent here in Denver. Healthcare, technology, different government opportunities, and more, a lot of hospitality type jobs. Starting with healthcare, UC Health has a ton of jobs out here in Denver right now. I recently checked and there was actually over 26,000 current positions, and that's in medical services, research, and just administration in all these different hospitals and healthcare facilities throughout Denver. I spent most of my childhood growing up in Wheat Ridge, which borders the Golden and Applewood neighborhoods. So it's on the far west side of town. And we actually just had a brand new hospital open up about 2 months ago, which is Lutheran Hospital. Lutheran Hospital used to exist, but it was in a different location. And it was becoming a little bit older, a little bit more dilapidated compared to other cool facilities around the city. And they just opened up this brand new one, Lutheran, and it's off of Youngfield, just on the border of Wheat Ridge and going into Golden. And talk about opportunity, for housing, but also for jobs. There's so much, not just for the hospital, but all these other businesses that are now popping up all around it. And I know there's going to be also a ton more in the future. So when you're talking a little bit more about real estate, when you're looking for some great opportunities to find places that are really going to appreciate in value. Now, I also mentioned government, and with government, I'm just referring to, schools, but also just different public services. The government and the school system is always going to be one of the largest employers for the Denver metro area, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Denver has definitely certain areas that are seeing a lot more improvement and growth than others, but Denver is just such a popular place to live that really throughout the entire metro area, all the school systems are seeing, some improvements when it comes to the buildings themselves and just putting a lot more dollars back into reviving and just improving, the government and the school system. So I was always kind of a little concerned about this in the past, especially about 4 or 5 years ago. And I do have to say, it seems like it is starting to see a little bit more drastic of an improvement, which I am really happy to see. So definitely another really big employer here in Denver and something to consider looking at if you guys are interested in government or teaching type positions. So another employer that's really close to where I live now in Littleton is also the Dish Network. So there's all the different streaming services out nowadays, but Dish Network continues to be pretty popular, and there's over 16,000 positions with Dish. And again, it's right in this Littleton area. The founder of Dish is also a local Denver guy that lives in Bomar, which is really close to where I live in Grant Ranch. And one just side note, when you're on Santa Fe, which is a pretty busy thoroughfare, a north-south highway that's really close to me and goes through this Littleton area where the Dish Network headquarters are. If you look off to the side and look behind the Dish campus, you can actually see one of the old retired SpaceX rockets that the Dish founder, the billionaire, actually purchased and just has sitting behind the Dish Network headquarters. So just something kind of cool to see when you guys are driving by if you are on the southern side of town. There's definitely also a lot of just technology related positions. Lockheed Martin has always been a big employer here in Denver. They make obviously a lot of aerospace related stuff. And there's also a lot of positions through Aero Electronics, which does a lot of technology-based products, logistics, just all kinds of stuff related to technology and electronics. And then one last employer, just before we move on, another one that is very close to Lutheran Hospital in that area that I grew up in, the Golden and Applewood area, is the Coors Brewery, also known now as Molson. Molson purchased Coors several years ago, so Molson Coors is what you'll typically see nowadays on the sides of the buildings, but it is still just a massive production facility, a huge plant that still makes a lot of the beer that you may or may not enjoy through Coors and Molson, all those different brands. And it's still one of the oldest and also largest locations for a brewing facility. So definitely a cool place to check out. If you're in downtown Golden, without a doubt, you'll be able to, check out a lot of the different views of the plants and facilities of Coors. And again, it's just another cool place to have a little bit of this kind of history behind, what made Golden what it is today and kind of put it on the map. So wrapping up that second point, really just wanted to make a little bit more specific example with some of these employers in the Denver area and how there really are a ton of opportunities when it comes to just jobs and opportunities for finding a position to get you out here and hopefully stay. All right, and then my third and final reason why Denver still is just an incredible place to live and why you should definitely consider it is just this vibrancy when it comes to social life and just all of the events, specifically events that they put on here in Denver. And these just keep getting better and better every single year. And it's not just in Denver. There's also a ton of really cool things that happen throughout the year in the mountain towns where, some of these festivals really lean on the mountain communities to host very large production type events. One example would be Food and Wine Festival up in Aspen every June. When I lived up there, that was always super fun to see, people from all over the world coming for that Food and Wine Festival. But going back, though, to Denver specifically, there's a ton of stuff to keep you busy and entertained throughout the year. A few that I always like to recommend to my friends and family and clients like you guys or viewers that are watching videos and considering coming out here is in Cherry Creek. So in North Cherry Creek, they have the Cherry Creek Arts Festival. This is always super fun to check out. It just basically is this huge area that is blocked off from car traffic and is just a pedestrian-friendly fair or festival that you can enjoy in the summer. It's held every July and it hosts a ton of both local but also national and international artists It's really fun just to walk around and just admire all the different types and just talent of different forms of art that you can see when you're walking through this Cherry Creek Arts Festival. If you guys are a beer drinker, I know I just talked about Coors Brewery, but another one that is always fun to check out is the Great American Beer Festival. It's one of the largest beer festivals in the entire world, especially after Oktoberfest. For a long time, it was kind of the number 2, second biggest in the world. There's a ton of microbreweries that have been kind of created in the Denver area. You know, New Belgium Brewery would be one of the first microbreweries that really put Colorado and Denver on the map. And nowadays there are hundreds, if not thousands, of microbreweries in the Denver area. And at the Great American Beer Festival, you literally get this, entrance when you get inside it's at the Colorado Convention Center, so this very large event center. And you get these little shot glasses where you just go up to any beer you want, they pour you a little taste. And it's one of the best people watching activities that I can recommend you check out. It's a lot different from the first 30 minutes. Give it a couple hours and talk about some entertainment, just watching people after they've had maybe a few too many little shots, which after a long period of time turns into quite a bit of beer. If you enjoy the Hispanic Latin community, we also have one of the largest Cinco de Mayo festivals in the entire nation. Really cool to check out. Lots of great food, live music, and just a ton of culture. It's held down in downtown Denver at the Civic Center, and it's actually a 2-day festival that is definitely worth putting on your list to check out. And if you guys are into music, obviously we have Red Rocks Amphitheater, without a doubt, the best outdoor live venue in the nation, if not one of the best in the entire world. Literally a 10-minute drive for where I live right now on the Littleton on the western side of town, but really no matter what part of Denver you're in, it's a close, easy drive or an Uber ride to get over there. But there's also UMS, which is the Underground Music Showcase, and this is held every summer on Broadway Avenue, and it is definitely worth checking out. There's over 200 live bands that perform every year, a lot of indie type bands that you probably haven't heard of before, but a lot of great talent, and it's on South Broadway. So again, they block off the entire street, pedestrian friendly, tons of live music all over the place, and it's just a very fun week in the summertime to check out. So those are just a few examples. We also have the Dragon Boat Festival, which is in Sloan Lake every year. I used to live on that side of town, and that was always fun to see all of the dragon boats racing out in Sloan Lake. We also have one of the largest LGBTQ festivals in the summertime. Just have a ton of different options. Denver literally just really is great about having options for every type of interest, and just a place that always has something new to try out, which is another reason why Denver just has to be on the list of places to consider moving to here in 2025. So to recap, we talked about 3 reasons. Number 1, just this outdoor, active lifestyle that Denver is so great about really embracing. And then number 2, talked about just the awesome job opportunities that exist here in Denver, and more opportunities, it seems like, every year when it comes to some of these industries, especially technology, and just some of the really cool stuff going on right now with the tourist industry, with all the ski areas and just resorts. Vail Resorts is headquartered here in Denver, as well as some of the other companies that really are the big catalysts for growth when it comes to the ski industry in these mountain towns. And then number 3, last but not least, just talking again about how many awesome just festivals and just social events that exist throughout the year to really keep life interesting and just really enjoy. So all 3 of these, 1, 2, and 3, are definitely in no particular order, but in my opinion, as a 40+ year Colorado native, some of the reasons why I continue to choose Denver as my home base. And I hope you guys do too. Hope you guys at least are willing to give it a chance. Give me a call, shoot me a text, shoot me an email, whatever's most convenient. And I'd love just to learn a little bit more about you specifically, and maybe find a few different things that are the most interesting to you, and provide you guys with some options that will make you a little bit more serious about considering coming out here to Denver, Colorado. As one last plug, you guys, I mentioned this earlier, but this new relocation guide that I just finished, it has so many great resources for you. It talks about, over 20 neighborhoods that are specifically some of my favorites, and I share with you guys why that is. Best restaurants, parks, trail systems, schools, all that good stuff. And then also I just go through a lot of other really valuable info you might need to be considering if relocating to Denver is on your agenda. And again, I wanted just to do a video today that was a little bit more broad and just covered some of the things that are the reasons why I choose Denver, and hopefully are things that you guys, if you haven't thought about yet, might be things you also are considering and putting on your list when you are comparing different cities and places to maybe move to. I love Denver. Denver's such a great place. And again, I just hope you guys give it a shot too. So until next week, hope you have a great rest of your week. And I'll see you then on an all new episode of Living in Denver. See you guys then. Bye.